Welcome to this program, Vivid View with EHILIZ, and also thanks for joining us. Vivid View,
say and do it.
Last time we discussed on this same topic I'm going to introduce now, the dangers of homosexual behavior. But we looked at it on Christian perspective, and I did promise that subsequently we're going to view it on Muslim aspect and also the medical point of view. I'm glad to announce to you today that we're here to look at this same topic on Islam perspective, to know what the Holy Book Quran says about homosexual practices. So we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll introduce the guests in the house. Please stay tuned. Vivid View,
say and do it.
Vivid View.
Welcome back. You are still watching Vivid View with EHILIZ, and the topic has already been introduced. The dangers of homosexual behavior in Islam perspective. So the first guest with me here is a researcher and a script writer. Let's make welcome Folorunsho Cousin.
Good day, everybody. Vivid View,
say and do it.
We have a known face already with us because she has been in this studio. Let's make welcome. She's a teacher and also a counselor. Let's make welcome Mrs. Obalola Marian.
Vivid View,
say and do it.
I welcome you again. I join the audience to welcome you. The first question goes to Marian. Homosexual behavior, what is it really about?
when we are talking about homosexual behavior, homosexuality, from that word homo, it means when we are talking about the same sex. So we have male and male of the same sex, or female and female of the same sex. So when we are talking about homosexuality, according to the Oxford Dictionary, it will tell us that when human beings of the same sex, male to male and female to female, are having anal intercourse. But when we now look at it from the Islamic perspective of it, so that is when we'll be talking about Sharia. And Sharia is the Islamic law. So Islamic law is telling us that homosexuality is when human beings with the same sex, male to male or female to female, are having anal intercourse, either from the when the penis is being inserted into the anus of the same sex.
So thank you very much. Cousin, do you have anything to say to this?
Yeah, when we want to talk about homosexuality from Islamic perspective, when we make reference to the Quran, in about 6 to 7 places inside the Quran, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laid emphasis on what homosexuality is. And he narrated to us the stories of some people, the people of Lut, that the main reason they were destroyed was because they engaged in homosexuality. Almighty Allah said, these people, he sent Lut to them to warn them in 4 chapters inside the Quran, that go and warn these people that why are they engaging in such acts? That of all the creatures I created, are you going to prefer man to woman that I created for you as partner? God said they refused. They told Lut that, do you want to remain clean? We will expel you from our city. And Almighty Allah said he sent his punishment down onto them. That when the punishment came down to them, they have nowhere to run to, and it turned their city upside down. The highest point in their town turned to the lowest point, and their city was destroyed. And in Sharia, That was where the name Lutiyya came from. Lutiyya means homosexuality in Islam. It is from the people of Lut.
Good.
And the Prophet also warned us about it.
Which means the Quran condemns it in total. That's
Yes.
the meaning, yes.
As Muslims, when we want to talk, we have to recognize two things. That the supreme giver of law is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and is the ultimate source of all moral code. And inside the Quran, he warned us explicitly that that behavior, even the Prophet warned us that when two people engage in such act, the throne of God shakes, and that when you see them, send them out of your house, to the extent that there is a punishment for it, and the punishment is execution. Not on homosexuals themselves, but when they perform the act and they were caught. So Islam forbids it in totality.
Ooh, that's great. That's great. Now the question goes again now. You know, anything negative spread like wildfire. Like people have already heard that that's been legalized in USA and many other countries are also imbibing it and all that. Now, what do you really think on earth makes one to indulge in this illicit act? Because that's the way I look at it.
Well, when we are talking about engaging in homosexuality, just like we have different types, when we are talking about of the same sex, and when we are talking about of the male, male to male, that is what they call gay. The female to female is referred to as lesbianism. So just like when we have fornicators and adulterers, why do they engage in such things? There are some acts that leads to it that we don't know it. And it is said, there are a lot of teachings according to the Quran. Like it is said in one of the hadiths of the prophets, that when a child reaches a certain age, from age 6 to 7, we should start separating them. If they are of the same sex, separate their room. The male should be
in a family.
Yeah. If they are of the same sex, they are not expected to be under the same cover nakedly. So there is an hadith of the prophet that has given us that teachings, that a male and a male should not sleep under the same cover without an inner garment. And a female and a female should not sleep under the same cover without an inner garment.
As well.
So that's the first rule. So if a child has been made to understand that right from childhood, that you are not to look at each other's sex. The same sex are not expected to bathe in the same bedroom. You are not to look at each other's private parts. So these are the things that people engage in and makes them to go into it, to start practicing it. Another thing is that they start admiring themselves. By the time a female starts admiring a female, there's nothing wrong in admiring yourself. But by the time you go to the extent of saying that you are sexy.
Can you imagine?
So, by shaking one another, a female to female is shaking one another and
doing some sign.
Is doing some sign. It's feeling the urge is aroused. So these are the things that can lead to it. And also when you don't, the most important thing is when you don't have the fear of Almighty Allah, when you don't have that fear, you be engaged in it, because shaitan will make you, will arouse that interest in such a person you have been admiring. You have been admiring the same sex with you. And we have seen in so many cases whereby a male started looking attractive or started looking dressing like a woman, putting on earrings or looking at, or even we have some people that we tell a male that you look like your mother.
Can you imagine?
You look like your mother than your father. And the child will start developing that. So
now look like a woman.
I look more like a female than a male. So that starts bringing some senses into such a child.
That's true.
So I look more like a female. So that is how that child will grow up. Started plaiting hair. We have seen male plaiting their hairs. We have seen them putting on earrings, dressing like, and we have seen female too.
So you look like a boy.
Look like a boy.
A tomboy now.
So they barb their hair. And these are all the teachings that Islam has given to us. And in Islam, we have limits.
That's good.
As a lady, you have limits. You don't look like the opposite sex. As a male, you also have your limits.
Okay,
you have boundary where you can go when it comes to dressing and how you should look like.
Yeah,
so these are the Islamic injunctions on
good.
it. And that will take you away from...
Cousin, you have something to add to what she said?
Yeah. When we look at the world that we are in today, it's a pity that of all the advancement that we are having, scientific advancement, globalization and everything, one thing that we tend to be moving away from is God does not really matter again. We want to make it like whatever it is that we feel is right by our own dictate. We have forgotten that whatever is right or wrong must be within the confinement of the dictate of Almighty Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Muslims, Islam teaches us that no matter the level of advancement in the society, that we can never put God out of the equation.
Of course.
He's always there. He's the one who gives us the moral, what is right and what is wrong. But the society is now moving towards anything I feel is right, I can do it myself. And Almighty Allah warns us inside the Quran that we should not meet our desire. Don't make your desire your God. And that if all our desire, وَلَوْ تَبِعَ الْحَقُّ وَهَهُمْ لَفَسَدَ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَمَا فِيهِنَّ. If we should make our desire our God, or if our desires are always permitted or are right, that the earth and the heaven will be corrupted, and even everything inside of it. So the corruption spreading is what is causing this homosexuality. Also, God told inside the Quran that immorality is spreading on the earth and even inside the sea. And that is why as we must take note that these people, the homosexuals, they are succeeding. They've succeeded in the West.
Oh, yes.
And thank God that in our own society, government was able to curb them. They're still right under our nose. They are growing gradually. They are growing.
All right.
They have...
Thank you.
There was a time I was walking on the street. I saw a poster that, do you need a gay partner? Call this number. Hey. That means they're already here. And when we look at it, the elites in the societies, they are already creating a kind of a tie with them. And they are already creating a social and political ties with all these people. So what caused these things is majorly as a result of corruption of the mind. And scholars of Islam, they all agreed that homosexuality is bad. And it's not that God created them like that.
It's bad and it's bad.
It's not that God created them like that.
No two ways about it.
It is as a result of psychological flaws in their thinking and total misguidance that they are not committed to believing in Almighty Allah. If you say you believe in God, then you must see Him as the ultimate source of morality. But these people are saying, though God created us, but we can do what we like.
We know better than God. That's what they're telling us.
They know better than God, that they can do what they like, and you cannot do what you like.
Thank you so much.
Society's well-being.
Thank you so much, cousin. We'll take a break. Now we'll come back. We'll continue. Vivid View.
Say and do it.
Vivid View.
Welcome back. You are still watching VIVID VIEW with EHILIZ, and we are discussing on dangers of homosexual practice. So the fourth question goes to Madam Marian. Is it possible to identify and avoid these people that practice it, since bad manners corrupts good ones?
It is possible. It is possible to identify them, and it is possible to avoid them. So according to the Islamic teachings, how do we avoid them? Or let me talk about identifying them. We have them now presently in Nigeria as a group, just like my colleague has said, that you see them with posters saying that if you need a gay partner, that you should call this number. So we have them around us. And their appearance, the way they look, you see the male looking feminine, wanted to attract the same sex with him. So they put on earring, they make their hair to grow, and they weave it and do different styles. So all their dressing shows they appear like a female. That when you see them, you be wondering, is this person a male or a female? So we also have them, the lesbian too. They too are also publicizing. You see them all around dressing like a male to attract the same opposite sex with them. Then how do we avoid them? The first thing is that we should have at the back of our mind that we as a Muslim, we have what is guiding us, which is the Quran and the Hadith, which is the sayings of the prophets. And once you have this book as your guidance, these are the things that will be your guide. And just like he has mentioned some quotations of the Quran, like we have it in the Quran, we have Quran 7, verse 80 to 81. We also have Quran 27, verse 54 to 58. There are so many verses of the Quran that talks about the people of Lut. The way Almighty Allah has reminded them of their acts, their evil acts, all the acts of homosexuality they have been engaged in. And Prophet Lut was sent to them to warn them. And all they could do is that they did not answer. They didn't hear the warning. So, and they were warned that they are being transgressing beyond their boundaries. And this is a great sin. Despite all the warnings, they still went ahead to do it. Even the wife of Prophet Lut was even the one promoting it and encouraging them.
Oh dear. And
the punishment Almighty Allah has made on them. So when you remind yourself of all these things, it makes you to move away from it.
Okay.
Then from so many hadiths of the prophets, it was said when there's an hadith of the prophet from that was narrated by Ibn Jabir, that when you engage, that when the prophet was saying that I am afraid that my ummah, my community, will not engage in what the people of Prophet Lut were doing. And it's also said in another hadith that the punishment for this great sin is death. The people doing it and the person you are doing it to, that the punishment is death. So all these things will make you to move away from it. Yeah, by the time you make the Quran and the hadith your companion, and you have the fear of Allah. Another thing that can make one to move away from the act is when you are not alone with the same sex, or somebody that have the same feelings with you. You are in the room with the same sex and you are having urge. So try to be among the companions of others who are not having the same feeling, that can take you away from such feelings. Okay. So these are the things that when you engage in, then you make your prayer. And when we are talking about homosexuality, we are talking about desire. And when you fight against that desire, you make a struggle against that desire, then it will assist you. You fight against it, you pray
through,
and you'll be out of it before you know it.
Okay, thank you. Cousin, have something to add?
Yes, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned us inside the Quran. For us as people, we are not supposed to move with people that are not conscious of God. Anybody that is not conscious of God, the possibilities that such a person will engage in immoral act is high, unlike those who are conscious of God. Also, it's not a bad thing sometimes to have desire, but those who did not have this self-constraint,
discipline,
yeah, to control their desire. For example, You cannot have desire towards, let me say, for example, a married woman. But what's the control there? You can't approach such a person. So when you see someone that doesn't have self-desire, all they talk about is about their lust. Then the possibility that such a person will engage in immoral act of homosexual is high. So we can use all this to identify them. And part of what she said also, that the way they behave in the society. In fact, I remember this story, sometimes around last year, when someone wanted to travel to the US, they processed the visa, and it was a hitch. The person now said, okay, there's another way. I can introduce you to some set of people that they are going to help you out. And when he said the people that he wanted to introduce him to, they are gays, that they will help him out, he will get there, that they have a connection over there, they have a connection over here, but he will join them. So these people will even approach you. And some people, out of desire for, they want to travel out
and all that,
they will just
concur.
They will concur with what the person says. So these are things. In fact, let me just tell you something. They are not hiding themselves. They are not hiding themselves in the society. So their appearance, you know that these people that you are dealing with, they are gay, they are homosexuals. Because they have a mission. And their purpose is that, not just that they want to be known, they want to establish that act as moral value for everybody. So they will come, they will even preach it to you.
It's too sad.
So we can use all this to identify them, and we can move away from them.
Thank you.
It's not hard to move away from them. Just know who you are, know who your friends are.
Thank you. That's a very vital point. Know who you are and know who your friends are. Very, very important.
Vivid View.
We'll take the next question. How do we curb the spread and acceptance, especially by the youths or to the youths?
There are ways that we can use to curb it in the society. Just like I have said earlier on, that we should have the fear of Almighty Allah. We should move closer to the Quran and the hadiths of the prophets. So by the time we move closer to the Quran, because there are stories of the past that will remind us of those who have done such a thing before, and the wages, the punishments,
The consequences.
the
yes.
consequences.
Yeah.
So this will bring the fear of Almighty Allah to our hearts. Then that will take us away from it, and from there we curb it. Then just like we have said, there is a desire that we should fight against it. And as you are fighting against it, you are curbing it, you struggle against that desire that you wish to do this thing, but you struggle to move away from it. You will be rewarded, and shaitan will be ashamed. It will move away from you.